As it stands now, we are basically 72 hours away of an actual mayhem and zombie apocalypse breaking out. If it happens, I hope it doesn't, you're not going to be able to call the cops for help. You're not going to be able to call the fire department or an ambulance or any of those public services, because those individuals will be taking care of their families and trying to do the exact same thing. All right, everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. And today we're going to be going over a subject which may or may not be very useful to certain individuals moving into the future. All right, now, for those, if you're just tuning into this show, I'm a former Green Beret, Airborne Ranger, paratrooper. I got all kinds of time in the military. And I have taught this particular class that I'm going to go over here probably 100 times. Okay, now I can't go into everything here because it's very time consuming. I'm just going to go over basically a bird's eye view, and then I'll go into further, I'll break it down, into more detail moving forward. Now, this is called escape and evasion. Moving forward, there's very high possibility we here in the United States are going to experience a severe amount of turmoil. Dare I say, it might actually be very similar to what's going down in Venezuela with the hyperinflation, the food shortages, just the absolute craziness. If that were to take place, the most dangerous place you could be is in a city, okay, in a built-up urban environment. You don't want to be there because you have a lot of people in one area. They're going to go through food and water real quick. They're not going to be able to heat their homes. The grid might go down. As it stands now, we are basically 72 hours away of an actual mayhem and zombie apocalypse breaking out. If it happens, I hope it doesn't, you're not going to be able to call the cops for help. You're not going to be able to call the fire department or an ambulance or any of those public services, because those individuals will be taking care of their families and trying to do the exact same thing. So let me get this straight. I got to spend 2.5 years on books and tuition to take useless bullshit just to get at my core classes? Space Ghost is on, you can suck my dick. You got any ungrateful relatives? Well, me too. So buy them something worthless. Get them this book. At the end of the day, they will thank you for getting them something that's priceless. Good advice. So click on the link in the description and learn for yourself why college is a complete waste of time and money. Now, typically, when you set up a escape and evasion corridor, you do it in an enemy country or a country that you're operating in, and you set up your left and right limits and, where you're going to go, and then you brief your whole team on exactly, what that plan is in case some people get captured, killed, or get injured or wounded to the point that they can't move anymore. Everyone knows what the fuck they're doing. All right, now the way you do that is called area study. When you do an area study, you're looking for a lot of things that will assist you in getting out of Dodge. Rapid avenues of approach or egress, number one. Number two, water sources. You can't really go more than a day, maybe 3 days without water. You can do 10 days, maybe more, depending on how fat you are without food. We Americans are painfully, shockingly fat, so that's not a real big problem. You're not going to be able to move 24/7, so you're going to have to basically do a map recon at first of areas that you can conceal yourself in and hide until you can move forward. So you can hide and conceal yourself until you can move again, which usually it's best to move at hours of limited visibility, which is night. Okay, if it's the middle of winter and you're in America, the nights can get pretty cold. So you're going to have to make a decision if, it's worth staying in place or moving. And this is basically when you do the area study, you're doing it assuming you will receive no help. You don't have a network in place, nothing. This is the last ditch effort to get the fuck out of Dodge. All right, just so you have that, under your belt. Okay, now everyone needs the following: water, food, shelter, and the ability to hide. Okay, those are things you're going to have to look for when you do your area study, when you're putting together your E&E corridors. Now, I'm in Michigan. I am on the north side of Detroit, so I have no choice but to go north. Okay, trying to go south through Detroit, through Wayne County, Oakland County is pretty difficult. That is pretty much all built up, and that's pretty much a no-brainer. If you're north, you need to go. If you're north of a big city, chances are you're going to have to go north, or at least go north far enough where you can circle back and give yourself enough distance between said big city and to worm your way down to get south. Maybe situation will dictate if you can do that, depending upon how crazy it is. But if the zombie apocalypse is in full swing, it's not really going to work out for you. All right, now when you're moving, there's really two ways you can do this. Move at night, which gives you concealment. You can also conceal yourself with camouflage. I will cover that in, another class. It's pretty easy to do. You can buy a military camo net on eBay or on the internet from a surplus store. And you can fold it up, keep it in a bag in your car, and if you need to, you can throw it on. And from a distance, if they have thermal, that's a whole other subject. But if they don't have thermal, chances are you can avoid visual detection. Not in a big city environment unless you're moving at night and you want to hide among bushes and stuff. But if you're doing that is a no bueno. That is last ditch effort. Shit can go south real easy. Another one you can do is blend in. All right, now, if you're going to blend in, what are things people usually don't really look at deeply? Homeless people, women, and cripples, people who are injured. So if you have to move an E&E and you're in a urban environment to an urban environment, it's pretty easy to make yourself look like a homeless guy. You can stay to the alleys, what have you, until you can get out of the cities. All right. You can also, wear a disguise. I myself, I write about this in my novels. It can be done, but usually, unless you're an absolute professional at it, when somebody gets close to you, they can see right through it. So you need to weigh your options if you decide to do that. Another thing you can, straight up do is if you're trying to get through an urban environment, is you hide during the day. You need to find a place to lay up where people aren't going to disturb you, and then move only at night. And the best way to do that is act like a homeless person and hide out where homeless people are. Because I'm going to be honest, a lot of people do not give them a second or third look. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. Now we're going to talk about cars and trucks and trading distance for time. If you do if say you live in a major city, like let's say Chicago, and you are in one of the suburbs, you get yourself a map and you want to drive out, you can put together a route that doesn't cover, you want to stay off the big intersections or the big interstates and large freeways, the easy choke points. You want to stay to surface roads when and if you can, and it can easily be done. I have driven myself on surface roads from here all the way to Utica, New York. It took a long time, but it can be done. You gotta weigh these things out. Another thing you could do if you have to walk out is a lot of cities have major high tension lines, and usually the power company will run them through an area. And for instance, where I'm at, I can jump on the power lines near me and literally walk north all the way up to Almont, Michigan for the most part. I do that at night, and then I lay low. I can literally walk my way out of here. Ideally, foot movement in today's environment is not the preferred method, but if that's all you got, it is what it is. So I would suggest, try, put together a plan where you use a vehicle as much as you can, and then there may come a point, like if you run out of fuel, or if you run out of road, or you're facing a checkpoint, you have to leave the vehicle behind, draw a red line through it, it no longer exists, and you're going to have to go out on foot. Now, to get ready for this, it would behoove you to get in shape. We're all fat Americans. I know I need to get in shape too. I can easily stand to lose 20 pounds. But in all actuality, if you were to walk 5 to 8 miles 4 times a week, speed walk that, run a little bit, it can't hurt you. And listen, getting physical fitness in the bank is an investment into your future, which will pay dividends down the road. I'm not fat shaming anyone, don't cry about it, but it's the truth. Like I said here, on foot is very possible. Like for instance, say I jump on I-75 heading north, and I weigh the options, and it is actually to my benefit to get as far away as possible, as fast as I can. Okay, and I'm going north. There's a huge pileup, and the cops and the fire trucks aren't coming, and the longer you stay there, the bigger the target gets on you. You're gonna have to make a command decision, pack up your shit, put it on your back, leave the car in place, or pull it off to the side of the road and just let it sit. All right, your goal here is to survive. You're not here to fight. All right, you just want to ride it out. Okay, 7. Do not, if possible, use violence. All right, now, hypothetically, let's just say you are on a major highway, there's an accident or a checkpoint or some craziness going on. You pull the car off to the side, you get out, and you hoof it on foot. To the people running the checkpoint, or the people who are up in the chaos that's going on, you are the lowest denominator. You're not a big deal. All right, they figure, you're on foot, they can get you later, which they can. But if you know what you're doing, catching people on foot is very hard. Okay, and I'll cover that in a future episode. If you get out and decide you're gonna, shoot it out, or you're gonna fight somebody, listen, you're just ramping up somebody's resolve to fuck you up. All right, you don't want that. You don't, like I said, attention is trouble. All right, just get out of there, say, hey, I'm out. Dee Mao. If you're just somebody and you're just doing this and you're just walking out of the area, you're not going to attract a lot of attention. I can't tell how many times I've been in a crowded bar and somebody starts fighting off in the corner and everybody and their mother focuses their attention on the conflict that's going on there. Okay? You don't want that. All right? And finally, number 3, you can get hurt. Say they break a leg, what are you going to do then? You're stuck. All right? You get a penetrating wound that touches an internal organ. You're going to need professional medical care to take care of that, because your chances of dying go way up. All right? You don't need that either. All right? You can get shot. That definitely needs professional medical care to get treated. That may or may not exist, and if it does, then people are going to ask questions. All right? Again, attention. You don't need that. So stay away from violence. Just Dee Mao out of there. It's much easier to keep a low profile, get out of the area, than it is to think you can fight your way, however long it takes to get where you need to be. Armies do that. You're not an army, you're just a dude. Maybe you have 3 to 5 guys with you. You still can't do that. Logistically speaking, it's virtually impossible. Next board. Number 8. All right, now this is what I'm in the process of putting together right now. Is I'm putting together a prepper group of veterans, guys I served with here in Michigan, because over the past 7-8 months, I've literally received probably somewhere in the neighborhood, somewhere between 50 and 100 calls, text, emails in regards to the craziness that's going on. Because, what happened on the West Coast, that was fairly isolated. But can you imagine how bad that would be if it encompasses virtually every major city in your state and it spills out into the suburbs? What the hell are you going to do? You have the best chance of putting this all together if you put together a network of guys that you trust. All right, that's what I'm in the process of doing. And I'm trying to get them all ham radio licensed so we can all talk to each other on ham radio. Listen, if the grid goes down, you can hook a ham radio up in your car and have power. You can talk on that. If the repeaters are there, you can talk hundreds of miles. And for instance, I'm in one county, I'm having problems, I need to get the hell out. I call 2 or 3 other dudes in an adjacent county. They can come and help me get to their area, and then we can get the hell out of here and head north. There's safety in numbers, there's strength in numbers. It's not against the law to set up a prepper group. It's not against the law to, defend yourself and, stay alive. Number 9. This is important. If you can, you pre-place caches. Now, in the military, I've gone on cache operations. We jump in there with a bunch of bullshit. We'd put it in the ground. We'd mark it with on the map with a 11-digit grid and a description of stuff that's by it. I'll be covering this in another class in caching, and it'll help you guys figure this out. Now, a good place to cache stuff is federal land and state land. Okay, preferably near a major terrain feature, something that you can identify if you do not have a map. All right, I'll go into more detail. And things you want to have at the cache, okay, you want to have food, water, you might have to, put a weapon in place if you think it's necessary. Additional clothing, maybe some tarps, medical equipment and supplies, and medicines. Like if somebody in your group is a type 2 diabetic, it wouldn't hurt to put in place, a 6-month supply of metformin. You can buy that stuff on the internet right now. It'll go right to your house. It does require a prescription, but let's be honest, a lot of people can't afford to go to the doctor now and pay all the doctor visit fees and so forth. It's just cheaper to order on the internet and then ask for forgiveness later. And the most part, it's a no-brainer. It's like having antibiotics. And that's another thing that if you have a cache with 5 or 6 different types of antibiotics, if it gets really bad, that shit, it's worth its weight in gold. Because people are going to get cuts. They get infected. Back in the old days, if the infection got bad enough, guess what? They tied it off and they took it off with a machete. They burned the stump and they hope you don't die from it. If you have antibiotics, you have a very good chance of preventing that from happening. All right. Another good thing to have in there is dental floss and needles. They make great sutures. Alcohol, hydrogen peroxide. You could even use, there are some feminine products if they aren't, scented or have anything that are good for deep flesh wounds. You can get Vaseline and other gauze for burns and stuff like that. That's just stuff that goes in a typical cache. Another good thing to put in there is batteries, maybe a solar panel for charging, said batteries. After a certain amount of time, rechargeable batteries are king. Regular batteries, they'll be gone. You can put together a decent cache for like $500 right now in the beginning of 2021. And it might become significantly more expensive moving forward. All right, now number 6, you want to get to an area where you can lay low. All right, you want to lay low until you can get a proper extraction to a safe area. Where that'll be in the lower 48, I do not know yet. But, I'm sure as we move forward and people continue to separate and oil and water, goes crazy, they will become apparent. Again, if you have a group, you can call on other people, especially if you have a ham radio or an AM radio that you can transmit long distance with, to get yourself extracted. If you can't do that, find yourself a safe area, again, state or federal land. If you're in Alaska, you can move off into the wild, hang out there, and you can stay there for years, providing you can find water and food and build yourself some shelter. Okay, and don't attract attention because that's bad news bears. All right, again, on your person, you want to maintain some of the following stuff in your vehicle or in a bug out bag. You want to have maps of your area. You want to have a compass. You want to have a water purification system. They have all kinds now. They're not that expensive. You can get the ones you crank, the ones you pump with a thing, whatever. You can literally get some of the smaller ones for like $100 that'll literally purify, 2,500 to 5,000 gallons of water. That's going to take you a long time to go through that much water. You can pretty much burn through that in a year if you bathe in it, but if you're just drinking it, that'll last you a good 2 or 3 years. Okay, and you want to have emergency food. Weapon optional. Now, emergency food, you want something that's going to give you high caloric, with low weight. The best thing for that you can get right now over the counter is peanut butter. All right, you can get huge tubs of peanut butter at Costco, Sam's Clubs, BJ's, which is very disappointing. You can't get BJ's at BJ's. That's another side issue. But you can literally, 3 mouthfuls of peanut butter a day with proper water. That one big can of peanut butter could last you a week. You cover 30 miles a day. You can push it. You can probably cover 250 miles. If you have good boots and you're in shape and you're not carrying a piano on your back. So, it is what it is. Some people hate peanut butter. If you're allergic to peanut butter, then, figure something else out. I really don't know what to tell you. Maybe if you're not allergic to another type of nut, you can get it like cashew butter or something, almond butter or something like that. It might not have the same caloric impact as peanut butter, but it is what it is. Another thing you could do if you're in a calm or a cool environment is butter and cinnamon, or brown sugar. You just take a scoop of butter, throw it in a little bowl, small handful of brown sugar, stir it up, boom. It's not quite as good as peanut butter, tastes probably a little better, but if you're in a hot environment where the butter will melt, then it's not really a viable option. Oh, you guys want to know about weapons? All right, so we're going to talk about weapons here. Weapons are optional, though you do want to have a survival saw. Basically, it's a folding saw. Those things are great. Hunting knives. You can do all kinds of shit with hunting knives. Just watch the movie Rambo. I know it's bullshit, but a lot of stuff they did with that knife, you can actually do. If you are E&Eing, again, violence is not your your first option, you know, a good World War II bolt-action rifle like an Enfield 303 or a Mauser. You can find a lot of modern bolt-action rifles in get a military caliber. The ammo's easier to get right now. And you can actually use that if you need to, eat meat or whatever. You got to hunt with it. And, you know, if you are being pursued by the zombie horde, let me tell you, a couple of shots in their direction, especially if they can hear the crack of the round going overhead, people slow way down when that is happening. And a lot of people, especially the run-of-the-mill people, they'll be like, well, he might have some food, but is it worth me getting shot over? How about I go look for a more vulnerable target and just let him go about his business? That is what we're doing here. You're not out there doing, crazy offensive operations. Not your deal. Okay, you are here to survive. Bottom line. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. We're going almost on 30 minutes. Holy shit, for an overview, I can run my suck hole. You guys take it easy.